Christmas is upon us, and I'm sure, just like many of you, I'll be scrambling to get everything finalized and wrapped and just ready for Christmas Eve or Christmas dinner, Christmas Day for the kids or whoever it might be. And our bundle, this third bundle, includes a series of boxes that kind of range from small to large, easy to intermediate as far as difficulty. Today, we have our Snowman gift box, and I'd say it's a pretty quick one, pretty easy, but definitely will stand out. So if you have something like really special that you want to present a unique way, this is great. And it's a decent sized box, which you'll see here once we're done. And the lid is comprised of, or made up of, an actual hat. Okay, so I sort of just started laying everything out, and obviously you want to go ahead and fold everything at the score marks. Now if you take a look at the way that I have this folded, this top tab is going to be the top. Then we've got you know, the side here, the little hat slants, and then it goes straight again. And this little tab is to attach the underside. So we're going to begin by putting the hat together. It'll go pretty quick. Now one thing you will also notice, and you can see here, that there is a little 1 cut into that. So I've got 1 here, I've got 2 here. This one has 3, so it's 3. It's basically a Roman numeral 3. And then here, the 4 is just a circle. It's 4 lines in a circle. And that is the order in which we need to assemble these. So you can kind of just get started here. And what I would do is I would begin by attaching the bottom part here first. So let's grab, actually, you know what? Let's start with a larger tab. So let's go to the top tab here. Okay, so let's get our glue on this tab here. Now, we're not applying any panels onto this black portion here. So you want to be careful with your work here and just make sure that you get everything nice and aligned and you don't have any glue shooting out anywhere. Now this is a straight piece here. Just the connection will be nice and straight. So there's no slant, there's no angle, just a nice straight little connection. So you want to get that in place. And I'm starting with the larger tab here because sometimes if we start with the smaller tab, it kind of doesn't hold as well and has a it's just more likely for it to kind of come apart while you're gluing the next little piece. So next we're going to just kind of skip down to the next little tab here, and I'm actually putting glue on the tab that has the little Roman numeral 1 on it. Okay, and I'm going to get this out of the way for a second by just pulling this up like this. And again, I'm going to take that glue and kind of spread it out right up to the very edge, and then just connect these 2 pieces at the seam. Try to get it aligned as nicely as you can and as accurately as you can. Okay, and this is kind of it's like a slanted little hat. It's not just a flat hat. I wanted to create a little bit of interest. Okay, so that's there, and now we can go ahead and glue down the small little triangular tab here. And if you be real careful with your glue, just kind of just dab it on there. You may not even have to spread it like I was just doing. And again, just make sure that you get it nice and lined up. Okay, so there's piece number 1. This is piece number 2. And you can see the angle that's starting to form here. So let's get that in place. Now, I'm going to grab piece number 3. And we're going to, again, start with the larger tab here. I'm going to hold it like this. Try to get it so you can see it. There you go. And we'll start there and then do a little line right up to the edge. And then it helps if when you spread the glue with your finger, if you pull it back so that when you go to spread it, your finger can't possibly touch the other side. That's how you'll prevent yourself from accidentally getting glue all over the place. Okay, so now we just want to connect these 2 pieces nice and accurately get it nice and lined up. And just give it a little squeeze up and down the tab. Here we go. So not a lot of tabs. And I'm kind of taking my time here just to make sure that I explain everything precisely for you. Okay, now I'm actually putting glue on the tab with the Roman numeral 2 on it. And just like I did, I'm going to peel this back a little bit and hold it while I spread that glue out to the very edge. And I'll kind of dab it a little bit too. And then just get that nice and connected with the neighboring piece. And this one obviously has a little bit of an angle, so make sure that you're following that angle. And give it a squeeze. Get it nice and connected. Okay, and now we can move down to the little triangular tab here. And I'm going to just dab that right up to the very edge. And we're going to tuck it under and get it connected to the neighboring corresponding piece. Give it a nice squeeze and just hold it for just a moment while it sets. So if I had to guesstimate, I think this box will probably take about 30 minutes or so to put together. Not too bad. Okay, so this is piece 3, this is piece 4, and we're gonna go ahead and get everything joined together at this point. I'll get my glue. I need a little bit more there. Right about there. And just spread that out nice and thin. Okay. And let's get that piece connected. Kind of helps if you fold this so that your edges are nice and defined. It'll help you get the alignment nice and precise. There we go. Just like that. And just kind of squeeze along that tab, get it all in place. Then we can take this and fold it up to reveal this tab. Now this is the tab with the little Roman numeral 3 on it. You can glue this in whatever way you want as long as those numbers go chronologically. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so there's that. And then as you can see, we're just going to join this up. Put our little lip on there on the bottom. Close it up on top. And before you know it, we'll have our little top of our box here. So now I'm putting glue on the tiny triangular tab. And I'm just going to dab it a little bit to get that glue out to the very edge there. And just connect it like that. Just hold it briefly while it sets. I think the black AC cardstock, for some reason it really absorbs that glue nicely and quickly. So that is a bonus. Okay, and finally we can go over here and close this up. I'm going to start with this tab here. And just kind of spread that out right up to the edge. Okay, and get that connected. Right there, like that. There we go. There we go. So if you had noticed, and I didn't mention this in the last video because I had forgot, but I got myself a little boo-boo on my forehead here, and that was from assembling some workout equipment. So no, I didn't get into a bar fight. Okay, last little tab here. This is the number 4 tab, and I'm just gonna spread that out as best as I can out to the very edge and close that up. I guess there's one more little tab, but as far as big tabs go, that is it. That thing blew up, looked like I got bit by a prehistoric mosquito after I bumped my head. But put some ice cream on it. And not just ice. I didn't just take ice cream out and, you know what I mean. It was a wrapped piece of ice cream. Okay, last little triangular tab there. I'm gonna dab that just a tad and get that connected. Nice straight angle there. Nice straight edge, I should say. And just hold that for a sec while it sets. There we go. Okay, so you can see the shape of the hat here. All right, so now we've got this piece here. You know, at this point, I don't really think it matters if we put the top or bottom on. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is take these two little skinny pieces and just get a little glue on one of the triangular tabs. They're both the same, so it doesn't matter which piece you grab first. And just get that glue right out to the edge. Take the other piece and just join it. Oops, did I get that right? Yeah. Just join that like so. And once it is partially set, you can take it and just fold it onto itself and just make sure that it's all nice and lined up. And that will tell us that we've got it perfectly aligned and nicely glued. Okay, so now we've got one long strip. And what we're going to do is we're going to find the other triangular tab and get our glue on there and then just connect the other side so it's one seamless piece. Okay, so find that other side. You can actually put this down on your table and work with it flat. Just place it down nicely. Get it nice and lined up. Make sure it's nice and even. You can flip it onto the side here where I glued it, so that's on an end instead of in the middle, and just press down and we end up with that. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to glue it to this piece here. Okay, and that is going to kind of create the little lip that the lid is going to sit on the box with. Okay, so all we need to do for that, and you don't need to go too crazy with the glue here, kind of keep the glue more in the center of the tab. Just place that over it. And let's get that one side glued down. So all I'm doing is just making sure that it's nice and flat and flush, and then taking that tab and connecting it to this little side piece that we just constructed. Just like that, very simple, okay? Then we can take our glue onto the next tab. And I guess, you know what, maybe keep it more towards the top of the tab there. And make sure it's nice and flush, bring it in, and just glue those two pieces together. It should go pretty quick. Okay, and just moving right along here to the next tab. Just like that. And just give it a good squeeze. Yeah, and this part is going to be inside the box, tucked away once the lid is on, so it doesn't need to look perfect, but do your best. Okay, last little piece there. Just putting glue on the inside and just kind of connecting the two pieces, making sure that this thing is nice and flat and flush on this base piece here. Okay, so this is what we should end up with. A piece like this with a nice, clean looking little lip. And what we're going to do is we're going to glue this onto this piece here. Okay, so what I would suggest doing is starting with one side and one side only. You don't want to try to do all four sides in one shot. It's going to be a little difficult with all the surface area to get this all down in one shot. Put some glue on the inner part of the tab. And there goes an elderbug. And then just a nice thin line right along the edge that I'm going to take and just spread all the way across like that. Okay, and let's just get this one side connected. This piece is symmetrical, so it shouldn't matter which way you glue it down. Just make sure it's nice and centered, and you can stick your fingers inside here to help push that down. And this is going to help anchor this piece while we get the other four sides glued together. So just do your best to get that to sit nice and flush. So you got a nice clean seam there. And if you don't, which we probably won't be able to get it all perfect when we go to close this up. I'll show you, and a lot of you already know what I'm going to do, but for those of you that are new, I will show you a cool little trick to help you make everything look nice and clean. Okay, so now we do have to close it up. So I've got this opened up, and we're going to apply our glue onto the remaining tabs here. And of course, we're going to try to get the glue out to the very edges here so that we can get a nice clean seam. Watch out for that glue. This is kind of an odd shape, and its center of gravity isn't really conducive to this piece sitting for us nicely, but just going to spread that glue right out to the very edge there. Like that, and like that. Okay, and let's close it up. Focus on the side opposite of where we anchored it as far as getting that part glued down first. Just give it a little bit of pressure and then just follow it all the way back to the anchored part. And I have a feeling that this side may not glue down perfectly because it was the last side we did, but you know what? Wow, I am on a roll today with my gluing, and that looks perfect. Okay, so that's that. And then we're gonna repeat the same process for the lid. Okay, now keep in mind that this part is not symmetrical. Okay, it's only gonna go on one way, so make sure that when we go to anchor this, that you're applying the right piece in the right direction. I'm gonna start with this tab here. Just gonna throw a little bit of glue right there, and then I'm gonna pull this in, and I'm gonna do a small little line right along the edge here. Let me get these out of the way. And I'm gonna run that glue right up to the very edge. Okay, and now we can kind of push these back in and push that out a little bit. And let's make sure that we've got the orientation correct and get that in place. Nice and centered on that tab. If you want to, you can put that down on your surface now and push down to really get that anchored. Okay, there we go. Perfect little seam there. So we can open that up. And now we can close it up just like we did on the bottom there. Do a little bit of glue in the center of the tab, and then let's do a nice fine little line along the edge. Spread that out nice and thin. Yeah, it was way too much glue there, so I'm gonna go easy on this tab because I'll probably have some left over as I spread this out nice and thin. Okay, I can already tell that I might have a problem here. I don't have enough glue there, so I'm gonna dab a little extra there. Spread that out. Spread that out. Dab here in the corner where I might have not gotten enough. And flare these out just a tad, and then go ahead and push the lid down. Line it up on the opposite side of where it was hinged or anchored, and then run your finger along the edges here, as well as here. Boy, I don't know, maybe it's just the black paper today, but it is working out nicely. You can flip this over and push from the inside to really get that to be nice and anchored, and that is perfect. Perfect little specimen here. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put our little trim pieces on here. And the trim just goes right here at the base of the top of the hat, like so. And you can get that on there very easily. And I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue on that piece there, all the way down. And just make sure that you get glue right up to the very edges so that the edges don't come pulling apart. And then if you can, if you have enough time, maybe throw a little bit in some of the little scalloped areas just so that they don't peel away. They shouldn't. It's a pretty small piece, and I think that little line of glue that we got in there is going to be more than enough. Okay, and then when you apply this, Just use the corner as a guide, and then just press it down. Make sure that it's nice and flush, like that. And I had a little bit of glue pop out of there. That's okay. I should be able to rub that off. It's just that you do that. You make a glue boo-boo on a black piece of paper. Sometimes it's a little more visible because it dries with that little sheen to it, but that's okay. All right, so that looks nice. And then we just repeat the same process on the other corner here. Very simple. So you can go ahead and do that and then skip ahead if you'd like, or just hang out with me while I do that. And for a little tip, if you're gluing something like this onto black, it does help to kind of flatten out the glue so that if by chance you do kind of rub this up against the black part, maybe it won't get as much on the black. This is kind of a tricky little piece. I'm going to hold it from the edges here and just apply it like that. There we go. Perfect. There. That's probably the better way to do it. And then just run your finger along that little trim piece. Make sure it's nice and on there. And there we go. Okay. Now, I was actually hoping this would happen. I don't like when it happens, but I'm glad it did because I can kind of show you. You can see here, well, maybe you can't, but that part there is kind of coming up a little bit. The glue just didn't set the way I had hoped. So I'm just taking a scrap piece of paper and I'm gonna just get it in between those two layers and just shove a little bit of paint. Well, it's glue, but kind of feel like I'm painting it on there, just to get a little extra glue in there, and then I can just push and hold that little area down that I feel is coming up, just to get it in place to make it sit nice and flush. And there we go, that cleaned that up nicely. Okay, so aside from that, okay, the hat is gonna go on our little snowman like this, and we have a little holly and some berries that we're gonna put right in that little area. We're gonna pop dot that, and throw some rhinestones on there afterwards, but I've got these pieces here, so I'm just going to put little dabs of glue on these pieces here, and just make sure you get the right one for whichever side you're applying this onto. Okay, and then our other one, very simple. The box is going to go together much quicker. So I'd say we're more than halfway home here. Okay, just get that nice and aligned with the little shadow piece there, like so. Give it a little push, and I'm going to grab a little pop dot. You can do a Zot if you want, like the 3D Zots, and just kind of throw a little Zot on there. Grab my X-Acto knife. Some of these backings don't come off as easily, and we're going to affix that roughly about here. Okay, I am going to throw some rhinestones on this little area here just to kind of fill that in. Okay, but our lid is done, so we can move on over to the actual box itself. Okay, and the box is made up of well, two sides there, two sides here, and then we've got the bottom. This piece here, you'll notice it has a little L cut into it. This is a liner that's going to go inside the box to kind of, well, to make it a little more structurally sound. And then we've got two pieces that are the same color as this. They're going to go on like this, and I embossed this with a snowflake embossing folder just to kind of give it a little bit of texture. And then the other sides here, one side is going to be just, in our case, a white glitter that I accented with a little bit of lavender ink. And then, of course, the face of our snowman, like that. Okay, so I just want to make sure that they're kind of alternating
Okay, it doesn't matter if it's here and here, but you do want to make sure that they're alternating, okay? Because we want these panels to be on the side, and if you're using glitter, you want that to be on the front and the back. So what I want to do is I'm going to actually glue these down while this thing's flat. It's going to make it easier. And again, just please make sure that you are alternating these colors so that you get the correct look when you're done. And again, it doesn't matter which one goes where. It's a box and it's symmetrical, but alternating is important. Okay, so just throwing a little glue on there, and just because it's closer to me, I'm gonna put that here. Make sure you get that. Actually, you know what? We're gonna be aligning this to the top edge. You wanna keep an even border along the sides and the bottom, but it is gonna be flush with the top of the box. Okay, and you know that this is the top of the box because this is the bottom of the box, literally. It's the base. Okay, so let's get that on there. And that looks nice. And same goes with this piece here. You want to make sure that that stays nice and flush with the top. Okay, so let's get that glued down. And this is a nice glitter. So I can throw a little extra glue on there. There we go. Again, make sure it's nice and flush with the top, but a nice even border on the sides. Keep it nice and symmetrical. And that's about right. Make sure it's flush there at the top, and it is. Beautiful. And then we're going to put our little snowman together here in just a moment. Well, at least his facial features, some of them. He does have a dimensional nose. We're gonna put that on last after we actually construct the box. So again, make sure you lay this out and that you're alternating. You can see it's alternating there. So if you want, you can go ahead and skip ahead to the next section where I begin building the snowman's face, or you can just hang out with me. Okay, that looks good. Just double checking to make sure I'm alternating, make sure that is flush with the top, nice even border on the left and right, as well as on the bottom. As long as you get it flush on top, you'll get the border on the bottom. So that's not a problem. There we go. Okay, and now we're gonna get this panel on here. When I do this, I try to make sure that I do get some coverage with the glue along the very edges here. It doesn't have to be like exactly up against the edge. It should hold. And some of that glue, when you put this in place, it should kind of squirt and make it its way out towards the outside, depending on how you push it, I guess. When you push this down, if you kind of push down and that way, it'll get that glue out to the edge. And that's what we want. Okay, so there's that. Okay, so while we can, let's work flat here and let's get our snowman's cheeks in place. Now you'll notice I cut this with glitter paper, but you can still see the little markers for this. The little cheeks here, we're gonna go between those markers and they are gonna be flush with the top of the box, okay? So let me just go ahead and do this so you can see where it goes. It's pretty simple. I may need to be a little patient here because I'm gluing cardstock to glitter, which may take a few extra seconds. So just be patient. Don't be discouraged if you're using glitter and it's not sticking. It's just the nature of the material. Okay, and get that other one on there. Using the little guides there, just like that. Okay, and then we have a little piece here that's going to go on our scarf, so don't worry about that just yet, but we do want to get our little buttons in place. Now the button is made up of these pieces that are, in my case, the same color as the eyes. And there are also some markers here to help you with that alignment, just to make sure that everything's nice and centered and in line together. Okay, you can see there I'm having a little tug of war getting the cardstock onto the glitter, but that's normal. Okay, and there's my other one. Got two little buttons there. Well, that's the first layer of the buttons. Oh, look at that. You see that? Pardon my head here. It just came right off and my finger wasn't even sticky. Okay, that's good. And then we've got these two little pieces, one black, one that actually has the button shape. And we're going to glue that to the black piece. And then we're going to glue that to the little peach colored piece that we just created. And you want the little buttonholes to have a vertical orientation. So nice up and down there. Get that nice and centered. Same thing with the other button. And then we're going to put this guy together dimensionally. Give him a scarf and a little carrot nose. And he'll be ready for a gift. I went a little heavy on the glue there, but that's okay. That's going to dry clear. And it's surrounded by glitter, so it's not going to stand out too much. It's okay to make mistakes. Okay. And nice vertical orientation on the buttonholes there. Get that centered. That looks good. This we're going to hold on to until the end here. Okay, so at this point, we're going to go ahead and connect these two pieces together and form our box. Okay, so let's get our glue on this tab here and get a nice amount on the large part of the tab, and then also a nice thin line right along the edge. And in my case here, I've got a nice light blue or turquoise color here, so if you do get a little bleed on the glue, probably won't see it that much. So you can actually use your table as a guide here, or as leverage, I should say, and just line this up nice and straight on your table and just push. And I'm going to take this and fold it over onto itself, and that is a good way to know that you've got it aligned properly. Let's take a look here. That looks good. Okay. And there we go. So then all that's left to do here is get some glue on this tab and get that glue out to that very edge there. Actually, I'm interested if after watching many of our assembly videos, if you guys use this technique to get your seams nice and clean. I'd love to hear your comments in the comment section here on YouTube if you guys do that. I find it really kind of just makes my work look so much better. Okay, and that was a really bad job of gluing that down. So I'm going to redo that. And you see that there's a mistake live on the air, and it happens. And it's fine, and it'll still come out great, and it'll still be the project that you see on the website when you go to buy this. You can say, well, hey, he messed up on that part, and he just redid it, and it was fine. And it will be fine. Okay, so I'm going to actually do this like this, because something just wasn't lining up for me doing it flat, so I'm just going to compensate by doing it this way. Okay, and I'm going to put that down flat on my table, like that, and push that down. There we go. That looks nice. Okay, so we've got a nice flat, square, I should say, box. And all that's left to do is apply our glue on the bottom tabs here. And then, of course, a nice little line right along the edge. And we're going to spread that out nice and thin, right up to the very edge there. And kind of flare that out just a tad. Take the hinged section here from the hinged side and just pop that right down. Focus on this side here, the opposite side of where it's hinged, and get that in place first. Make sure it's nice and centered. And then just run your finger along the other two sides here, making sure that you got good contact throughout. And try to get some, pretend like you're an octopus and you got all these fingers kind of working the edges here, trying to make sure that we maintain as much contact with all these sides as possible for as long as we can until that glue sets nicely and we have a nice clean seam. And I got a little area here that kind of is popping up, but I can fix that. I'm going to go over to this side here where I know I can get that fixed, and actually that looks good. Okay, we do have this piece here. It's our little liner. So what you want to do is just put a little bit of glue in the inside. You don't have to go crazy, just like that's fine. Just as long as it holds that piece in there. There's no way anyone's going to try to pull that out. So as long as it sits, you're good. Okay. All right, so that just leaves our, our scarf. And I believe, now our scarf's going to go like this. Okay, and the way that you figure out the alignment on this is that this bottom part of the scarf is going to be pretty much flush with the bottom of the box. Okay, so it's going to go on like this. Okay, so let's get some glue on this. And I'm just going to do one side at a time. I'm going to do the side that matters the most, the front, just to make sure I don't mess that up. The rest of it will kind of just fall into place because of our way it was engineered. Oh, you know what? Let's get a little extra glue right along the top there just to make sure that that doesn't come pulling away. And again, make sure that you got it nice, and I would start by kind of placing it along the edge here and then guiding it down until it's nice and flush with the bottom. And then go ahead and push that down into place. And again, this is going on glitter, so if you are doing the same thing, maybe just be patient. And I just kind of flipped it over so I can use my table as leverage so I don't go bending or warping the box. Okay, there we go. So be patient with that. It's probably not fully set, but that's okay. All right, we can move over to this side here where we're gluing paper onto paper instead of glitter, and just get a little bit of glue on there. Make sure you get some glue out to the very edge of this so it sits nice and flat there. It doesn't peel off. And just fold that right over, and it should kind of reach the end there, like so. Just like that. And I'm going to put that down on my table as well. Push that down. You can see this part of the scarf here, it's peeling back. I didn't get enough glue on there. So it's time for the old paint my glue technique. Just throw a little bit of glue on there, get it right up to the very edge. And that's why I said to get that glue out to the edge of the other side so that that didn't happen. And in my case, it did. So that's how you fix it. Just paint a little glue on the other side of that and just push it back into place, and you're good to go. That looks good. I love this paper. It's really cute. Okay, and got the other half of the scarf here, and I believe it goes like that. And I believe I was wrong. I believe it goes like that. Yep, that's right. Okay, so just make sure you've got the orientation correct. The scarf is gonna kind of droop on both sides. All right, I'm gonna start on the side with the paper because I know that that's gonna stick nice and quick for me. So get your glue, and as you can see here, this looks like it's actually some Valentine's paper, but the other side with the stripes was very, very Christmassy. Okay, so again, using the edge here, the corner, as a guide, and then take this and just pop it down into place. Make sure it's nice and aligned with the other part of the scarf here. So it's kind of seamless. Okay, and then once you know you've got it, you just flip that down and push from the inside. Okay. And then all that's left to do is just glue this side down to the other side here. And let's get our glue on there. And again, get that glue out to the very edge there so it doesn't come pulling apart. And make sure you meet this up a little bit. It's going to give you a little bit of give and it'll give you a little bit of wiggle room to ensure that you get this aligned nice and precisely. And you can see how perfectly that lines up. And then give that a little push there as well. Beautiful. Okay, I'm going to push that down from the inside. Okay, so all that's really left to do is make his little nose, and we've got this little embellishment here that we're going to put right here, and I've got a little rhinestone that I'm going to pop in place there as well, just to kind of jazz them up a little bit. And let's take a look here at the hat. Okay, so his eyes are going to go here. I'm going to do that with some pearls. I've got some black pearls. You can use black rhinestones. They're going to go here, and then we just have to put his little nose together. And then of course, you're going to put his eyes just above the nose. And in these little spots here, I'm going to put some black pearls as well. And that's just going to mimic little rocks that you would use to build a snowman. Okay, so we got this piece here. And you can see that there's a series of score marks on it. So you want to just go ahead and fold everything at the score marks to kind of create the little nose shape. Okay, and then we're going to take this. You'll see that the end piece here doesn't have a little tab on it, the little triangular tab. All these have little triangular tabs at the top. And let me go ahead and fold them so you can see that better. I'll have triangular little tabs there. The last one does not. That is the piece that we're going to put glue on. And we're going to use that to kind of join this all together and make it one. Okay, so I'm just going to tuck that under the other side here. Okay, and if you need to, actually, you know what, you can flatten this thing out. When you go to glue that, glue it flat. It doesn't have to be dimensional just yet. Or wait, or does it? No, maybe it does. I take that back. Just get it glued as nicely as you can if you need to. Let me see if I can even fit a dowel in there. Yeah, it's going to be a little tight. You can use it a little bit for a little bit of leverage there. And you take the tabs, fold them in, and we're going to take this piece and just fold it over to close this little nose up. Okay, and I guess if you look at it, one side of it is going to be like kind of flat. Well, how do I explain this? Well, all right, yeah, you can see it's kind of pointing down, and it is kind of flat on one side, and that's going to be the underside of the little nose. So for something like this where the tabs are really small and the paper, the fibers are so concentrated in a small little area, just get as much glue as you can on there without getting crazy, obviously, and then just push that closed, just making sure that you get it as aligned as possible with the shape of the little closure piece, this back piece, and then just maybe put it down on your table and just hold it there for a few moments while it dries. It's a very tiny little piece, so just be patient with it, but it's not that difficult to make. And there you can see that we've got our little beak there, or our little nose, like that. Okay, and then to wrap this up, again, I'm going to use a little foam square to make this pop out. I'll put a little rhinestone on there. And again, with the nose, find what looks like, find the angle where it looks like it's kind of pointing down. That is gonna be how that's gonna go on. And that's gonna go on. Actually, there's a little guide here that's cut out into this, in my case, the glitter portion, where it'll help you kind of position the nose. Okay, now I'm gonna, since I'm gluing this onto glitter, I'm gonna go a little heavy on the glue, and I'm gonna let that sit and make sure that it really sets before I do anything crazy with it. But as you could probably imagine, I'm just excited to show you the end result here. And again, take a look at the final photo before the video starts, as well as on the website for the little embellishments where the stones go. And that'll give you an idea of kind of the look that we're going for here. Okay, so there's our box. Good sized box, as you can tell. It's about, you know, looks like about 4.5 by 4. And then as far as the height, you're looking at about almost 6 inches. So really cute box. Definitely a one-of-a-kind sort of piece. A great way to present or give a gift this Christmas. So if you enjoyed hanging out with me and crafting with me, hit that subscribe button on our YouTube. And if you make this or any of the projects from our new bundle, please take a moment to share them with myself and the 883 or 8,400 plus dreamers that we have. Just do a search for Dreaming Tree Group on Facebook, and we'll look forward to seeing you there. So thank you again for hanging out with me, and I look forward to crafting with you again.
Stay on top of all things Dreaming Tree and engage with us today. Get the latest news and enter in our giveaways on Facebook. Get inspired by following us on Pinterest. Be the first to see our new product launches on Instagram. Do you prefer Twitter? Yep, we're there too. Watch our beautiful product trailers and assembly tutorials on YouTube. For more information, visit www.3dsvg.com. Live, craft, love, and dream.